Usually when I join the Zoom meeting, it is somewhat easier. This time it is a little bit different
Complicated.
from what I am used to.
Oh, okay.
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 So let us begin lah kan?
Yeah.
So shall we start, Doctor? Yeah.
Yes. Please.
Okay.
So once again, welcome to all of you, and it's a third learning encounter of GMF-LESMP. We have Father Jojo, we have Steven Beliku, and also Benedict Topin. And once again, welcome to the third encounter. And once again, very thankful. We are very grateful to all the educators who are with us today. And as informed to all of you, that today's topic is about shamanisms, and we have our educators who will be sharing us the implications, roles, and about this indigenous practice, which is also one of the critical factors in now people are started to beginning that the indigenous is future. So I hope our educators will examine and also put lots of lights on the issues and also about inner being. So once again, we are very grateful to all the educators who are giving their time, efforts. That is really, really appreciable. And we hope these sessions will also harness all of us to understand the meaning, essence of shamanisms and also about the inner being. So before that, do you have something to share? I would like to pass it to Dr. Nat, and then we will start accordingly.
Yeah. I really have nothing much to say. That this is part of this whole understanding of methods or journeys into the inner self, inner being. So, we are in that part of the journey. So I welcome Dr. Steven and of course the people who are going to support us, Ben and Jojo, to take us through an understanding of shamanism. Is for the students, the fellows of a particular program called the Gandhi-mandela-freire Fellowship Program. Yeah, thank you and welcome.
Yeah, so welcome everybody to this three-way conversation, on shamanism and inner being. Actually, Dr. Ben has been instrumental to introduce Dr. Steven Beliku to me. And I also, through Dr. Ben, I got connected to Dr. Steven. So Dr. Ben has been a great friend. Not only is the president of the Dayak International Justice Council, but he's also the president of the Sabah Native Council. And what is very heartening is he's the director of the KTCA, Social Cultural Heritage Unit in Sabah. And recently we met twice during the Lunar New Year vacation I had in Sabah. By the way, all three of us are from Sabah, Yeah. So it's a new kind of power coming from East Malaysia,
North Borneo.
North Borneo, yeah. So what is very heartening is Dr. Ben and few others, they've set up what we call a shamanic school, or in the local term, we call it the School of Bobolianism. So actually, the slides have been put together by the daughter of Dr. Steven Beliku. So what happened is, Dr. Ben will just take us through together with Dr. Steven, and then there are certain slides where I'll come in. Yeah. Okay. So Ben, over to you together with Dr. Steven.
Okay. Kopi sunduan. Kopi sunduan is our equivalent to namaste. Dr. Steven, just to go straight to when he began. He was born on November 8 in 1948, and if you can see on the screen too, he has been working all this. But let me ask him directly. I think he can tell us his journey working with the government. Dr. Steve, I call him Tinda. He got a title called Tindarama, which is a given title from our Council of Elders. So Tindarama means he has an expertise as far as, expertise in our cultural Let us see a bit about your employment. Hello, Dr. Steven.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Can you hear me, doctor?
Yes, yes.
We all
Very
can
clear.
hear you.
Very clear. Excellent.
Yeah.
Just brief on your personal history, especially with the government's work with the government.
Okay. I was born in Mangkatal in 8th of November 1948. I was working. I worked with the government, but briefly, I just read my the post that I held. I was assistant district officer, Pitas, in 1978, and also in Kudat, and assistant district officer in Penampang. And then in 1993, I was district officer in Pitas. And after that, I was posted to the Chief Minister Department as the Deputy Director Protocol. And then I was again posted as a district officer in Tamunan from 1996 until I retired in 2004. So that is the briefly
Thank you.
my working history. Okay.
Okay.
I
So
think yeah.
You are to
Yeah.
me. Knowing you,
Yeah.
you're a very one of our rarest, person, an extraordinary person that I believe that your conversion from the beginning actually started within your own family background. So, I mean, from your exposure, right from your own grandma and all these things. So you can share a bit about that.
Okay. Doctor, I think I better read my background. Actually, I grew up as a my grandmother, who was Chief Babalian, brought me up
By the way,
to
Chief Babalian
assist
is
her.
Chief Priestess, for the understanding of the other.
Yeah, she was a Balangkitas. She was a chief priestess, and she actually wanted to teach me the Renite, but since I was going to school, it wasn't practical, or it would not be possible to teach me the Renite while at the same time I'm going to school. So what happened is she actually did the next best thing, that is to actually pass down the healing energy from her to me through the process of Losod. Losod is actually a process of transferring power to the student through recital of mantra and blowing to the top of the head. At the time, I was probably about 5 to 6 years old.
Wow.
I didn't know what was going on, but nonetheless, she told me that she's going to pass the healing power to me, although I didn't know what it meant at that time. However, she forbade me from exposing my hand to the flame because she said that would spoil the healing power in both my hand. And also, she forbade me from slaughtering chicken because she said taking life is opposed to healing. So, right? And then I understood that I would not be able to slaughter anything. And all slaughtering was done of animals, especially chicken, was done by my younger brothers. And apart from that, she also asked me to help her in the preparation of ritual. Normally there are a lot of ritual, at least 6 ritual every year. And she asked me to prepare for ritual that is taking the paraphernalia, the rice and gonding, the tinimong, whatever. Put it in a in a center of the room where 6 other Bobalian will be performing the rite, which was led by her. So that's how
So there are 7 of them altogether. 7 of them altogether.
There are seven altogether.
Okay.
So that's how I got exposed to the Mabalian. And to make it short, the main ritual done. There are 3 main rituals done every year. That is preserving, because we were famous. So the main emphasis is to make sure that the rice will be safe. So there was a ritual to ward off harmful insects, rats, and birds, so that the rice wheel will be undisturbed. The other one is community health. In those days, they have ritual to protect the community from sickness, like the Mamahay Pagun, and was done in Tuaran, where they did a ritual to ward off COVID. And also, the other one is healing, individual healing. They heal 6 people through recitation of mantras.
Okay.
So that's about it.
Okay.
That's my answer to my grandma.
Okay, Dato, whenever you sorry.
Another one is that I think the other part is the Batarak. At the age of 9.
Dato Steven, let me just share one slide first, and then come back to you. Yeah, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. Okay. Thank you. I think the question now, maybe many of us ask, is what is shamanism, and why is it seen to be close to nature, a pathway to powers in nature? I think by now the sharing of Dato Steven informs us that shamanism is a very unique way of life that one embraces from childhood by election. That means you are really noted and you're chosen, in which one's inner being becomes the sacred space of the healing power of the spirits who are connected to the women and men ancestors. And Dr. Steven mentioned about the recital mantra. And mantra is renites in Bahasa Dusun, or in the Dusun, Kadazan Dusun language, which is a local language. And then apart from that, shamanism really connects one's inner being with the spirits. And the spirits can be ancestors, can be nature spirits, no, like spirit of the tree, spirit of the river.
The ecological spirits.
Yeah, very ecological. No. Anything more to add from Dr. Ben before we go on?
Yeah. Actually, I just want to ask whether he was alone, being brought into shamanism at that time, or were there other students? Together with you, Dato. Hello,
Dr. Steven.
Yes.
Were you alone, being formed by, and in your formation in the early stage, or were there others, your relatives?
Okay. In my I was actually selected. I was alone.
Okay.
The Losod, I was alone, but the Batarak, I wasn't alone at that. That was, I go into that.
Okay.
Yes.
We go.
The Batarak is apparently done by my uncle. At the age of 9, I was introduced to the practice of Batarak by my uncle, who was a student of the famous Guru Korom from Pensiangan. The Batarak was done beside the well, down the hill not far from my house. A 45-gallon drum, steel drum, was filled with water drawn from the well. 7 chicken eggs were broken and mixed with the water in the drum. My uncle called the nature spirit in a language not understood by us, but there were 4 of us. And after stirring the water to mix with the eggs, my uncle scooped the water and eggs from the drum and pour it in and on our head. And he said it was cold water and it was very eerie and spooky. But anyway, she said it's okay because she was actually leading it, and we were taught to memorize some mantras. So this were the Batarak was meant to keep us healthy and strong. That was the purpose of that. Anyway, I go to my Hikung master.
So,
wait.
Okay.
1 minute. So here I just want to I want to say something first, Dr. Steven, and if Dr. Ben wants to add, that's fine. So shamanism involves the practice of Batarak. Batarak is what he just explained to you, that connects human beings to nature. That means nature and water. By being immersed in a 45-gallon steel drum with water drawn from the well down the hill not far from a house. So it's all connected to nature. So this ritual increased the inner power within the interior being or space of a trainee shaman through the memorization of the renites or incantations. So you want to grow that inner being, then you go to another master. This master will help you through other rituals to connect you to nature. So in that sense, your inner being is connected to nature. But you need a guru to really guide you through the process. And the memorization is very important, memorization of the renites. the wearing of talisman is also very important. Huh? So the inner space is protected, as it were, by the renites, the incantations. Is also protected by talisman. Huh? Anything to add, Dr. Ben?
Yeah, actually, this is a very, very intense retreat, part of a retreat thing and it's involved fasting normally. And in the past, it's normally done besides the waterfall. So we still have a few waterfalls which are famous for this sort of retreat for Batarak in Tambunan. And we can understand why, even from the scientific point of view, I mean, explanation, although in the renites, in the recital, they call the waterfall as Tangkisus the Pemagunan, which means turbine of the world. It's actually sets in motion, the air and water at the same time, and oxygenates that particular place higher than normal. So that's why when they have the breathing exercise or whatever it is, it's it's a highly energized place. Scientifically, that is how it is explained. But our ancestral practices, they have got that spiritual energy, helping when it is practiced in that particular place. But it's not normally fasting only with food. They are fasting with remember, there are 7 in 1 spirits in a person from the worldview of the Karajanisms too. So they fast with their ear, they're practically the senses, because they don't hear the normal things. Even the sight, they only see green and not people all the time with the houses, the normal surroundings. So it's a way of fasting, and at the 7 ways of fasting. They don't need to talk, and they don't need to taste the food that normally they take to. They don't need to hear the noise within the human family system, maybe, but they hear the jungle and the natural sound. Okay, so
here's the next section that explains the kind of meditations a shaman like Dr. Steven engages in under a Qigong master. The Qigong master is Sifu Patrick Chok, in order to circulate the qi or energy in the body's meridians and store the qi in the lower abdomen for the healing of the sick. Yeah, over to you, Dr. Steven.
Okay. Actually, I knew I can heal, but I was taught how to heal. So there was a need for me to heal someone. So I heard there was a Qigong master in Luyang, and I was told to go and ask him to teach me healing. So I went to his class, and there were dozens of people, a lot of people. It was crowded actually in his class. And I went in, and he sort of more or less, maybe he knew that why I went there. So he signaled me to approach, and he asked me what I want. I told him that I want to learn healing. And straight away he said, okay. He let the others continue with their postures, but he asked me to do a cross posture. That is just standing like that. And normally, you can only stand 1 minute to do that. But I was able to do 5 minutes, and he asked me how I felt. I said, I felt there were 1,000 needles in my hand. Straight away, he said, you are a born healer. So anyway, he said, you can heal straight away now. And I felt embarrassed, because I was in front of a lot of people, and as a newcomer there, and Straight away, he asked me to heal. He asked someone who was having a knee problem, and he said, "Come here and sit." And he asked me to heal him. He taught me how to do it. He said he asked me to do anti-clockwise circles on the 1 inch above the knee. And he asked me to do it continuously for 1 minute. And he asked the patient, and he said, "What do you feel?" He said, "He feels heat." And he said, "Okay, that is effective." And he told me, he said, "Pull it out." And I did that. And then that is the beginning of the journey of, that's how I started healing. And from then on, he will bring me to hospital to help him healing. That's how I learned healing from him. But he also said, in order to go higher, I have to practice meditation. And he brought me to a class of meditation. In fact, he was teaching at least three types of meditation. Healing meditation, in which I learned, and martial art meditation and spiritual meditation. He was also a Taoist practitioner. So he taught me healing meditation. That is to actually circulate the chi in the body, but primarily accumulate chi in the lower abdomen, which to Chinese masters, the lower abdomen is the battery. So he told me how to charge the battery. He said, if your battery is fully charged, you can then use the energy to heal other people, but don't overdo it. If you overdo it, then he said it will be flat, low bed. So he told me not to overdo it. He was really a fantastic master because he guided me in a way that it made me it helped me acquire the kind of ability which I thought I would never have achieved without his guidance. He also has a master. I mean, his unusual ability has got the guidance, guiding spirit, and he also communicate with the spirit, and he can get advice and guidance from his spirit. That's made him exceptional and very different from other masters that I know.
Can I intervene here, Dato? Just for a question.
Yeah.
When he said that you should not overuse...
Anyway,
sorry.
sad to say that this fantastic master, the late Patrick Chok, passed away in 2000. And since then, there were no masters that can replace him. So that's how I look for another master. And the other master is Tindarama Amansiram. But his is the Renite. His is the Kadazan Dusun system of healing that is through the Renite. Okay, I go to I read a little bit of how I got to know Tindaraman Siram. I was introduced to Tindaraman Serom in September 2000 in Nokragang. He was doing ritual healing with several chicken in Nokragang. And that's how I was introduced to him. And I also accompanied him in many other function in ritual. But I like to relate a very unusual occasion. With me, masters. In this occasion, they
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Dato.
I think we
Still
lost him.
there.
Yeah.
We lost him.
What
Yeah.
happened? Let me call him.
and
Oh, okay.
we were. It was drizzling, and everybody was getting ready to pack up their things, except Tindaraman Serom. He stood up and asked the sky or asked the rain. But I also think he also communicated with God, because he has this ability to communicate with God and ask to the rain to move over to the other hill. And what happened is everyone present noticed it, and they were amazed that the rain stopped and the skies had opened up, and the other shaman knew that a miracle happened. So what happened? All the other shaman more or less bowed down to him, recognizing his ability and appreciate what he did. So they offered him this sandai or galan, or as a token of appreciation. In the end, I think it ended up having so much sandai on his shoulders. I was happy because international shaman throughout the world recognize that this person is special. He can even command the rain to move away. So that was something that was very unusual. And okay, that's the miracle part that he did. So in September 2000, he invited me to join him in a batarak in Sungai Sayap. And in 2000, I didn't know what he can do. But this miraculous thing was in 2014. But in 2000, I still don't know what he can do. Anyway, the batarak was actually done as a blessing and absorption of nature energy. Batarak made practitioner more resistant to sickness and physically stronger. When we started the batarak, we entered the icy cold water. The source directly from Mount Kinabalu. I was shocked by the icy cold water. That was the first shock that I experienced that night. The second shock was when Aman Sirom called Almighty God. That he said, we miss him so much, and asked for his forgiveness, blessing, and protection. All this time, I thought the Babalian wouldn't do that. I didn't know that as a practitioner of Batarak, I didn't know that he will call God. I thought he would call other names. So that was how I got so close to him, because I knew that I was never a believer of the black art. I was always believe in God, the Almighty. I have got altar in my house. So when he said, "Oh God, the Almighty in heaven," then I felt very happy that I share the same conviction with him. Anyway, unfortunately, God take him away in 2019. However, I think he's still with us. Okay, he was a Renite man without comparison. He actually memorized more than 400 Renite. I asked him how he remembered so much. He said the Holy Spirit. You see, he said the Holy Spirit helped him remember. And when he talked about the river, he said the sacred river. Tempat Batarak itu, he said the sacred river. You see, it's not just like any sungai yang mandi begitu saja. No, the sacred river. And he thought about the Holy Spirit. Okay. I again relate to him something that I experienced from him. I spend a lot of time with him, and I always see him talking to someone. And I realized that he was talking to his spiritual guide, his Gimbaran. He told me that when he go to KL, his Gimbaran sit next to on top of the wing of the jet plane. I asked him why not inside. He said, no, has to sit outside. So at one time, he asked me to drive him to BSN to withdraw money. And, so what? That everybody, this one is different. He actually, we withdraw a large sum of money. And when he came out from the bank, he was clutching a huge and heavy bag. Apparently, he withdrew a lot of money. And he asked me to guide him, to bring him to the car, to my car. And my car was parked outside quite a distance. And I was concerned because, hey, we could have been attacked by robbers. But he told me, apparently, he read my mind. He said, don't worry. He said, his guide already told him that it's safe. Nothing will happen. Even if there is a robber trying to rob, he said they would not be able to move because his guide has already jammed them. So that's the other time that I know that this guy has got an unusual ability. And the other thing is that he has an eye of wisdom. An eye of wisdom is he can see energy. When I was healing people, she closed his eyes. And I was wondering why he is always closing his eyes. Later on, he told me that my healing power was from up from the heaven, and I'm only a conduit. The healing power is not mine. I'm only a conduit. So that's how I you know I find he was a very unusual man. I I think I'm so lucky to know this kind of very unusual person. And something that I want to add here is he was a God-centric person. God-centric. Because he told me, what did I learn from? What I learned from him is, he said, always be humble and get rid of whatever ego you have. Because ego will burden you down. Okay. Another one is, said, never use the spiritual power to harm other people. Because spiritual power is like a boomerang. If you hurt someone, it will boomerang and hit you back harder. And I said, oh my goodness. That's what he told me. And also, one thing that also struck me is he said, whatever whatever happen will happen. In other words, I remember the song, what will be will be. To him, that's what he believed. Before he became, maybe he was like this because before he became a chief of battalion, he was actually a Roman Catholic catechist. He was a Roman Catholic catechist,
He used to hold the
helping
Bible
the priests. So he only became a chief of battalion because the spirit he called the Holy Spirit from his grandpa actually used him as a mean to help other people. So anyway, that's all the I can say at the moment. Maybe there will be other questions.
Yeah. I just summarize a little bit. The shamans like Dr. Steven see the world and nature as spirited. No, it's not just material. No? I mean, there are nature spirits there. There are ancestral spirits there, and also interbeingness is used for healing of the sick. So that means the power from your own inner being goes forth and clean up and heal the inner being of the sick. No? It is also the inner being filled with power is also good for self-protection. No? But more importantly, the inner being is a source of energy. Yeah? So I said already, it can effect meteorological change by moving the dark clouds in the next hill. No? So the inner being is the storage of power, but it's also the dwelling of spirits, like Dr. Ben said. No? There are 7 spirits within us with the 7 senses. No? So the inner being is the dwelling place of 7 spirits, according to Karazan Dusun cosmology, no? Or spirituality. No? And interbeingness can effect what we call healing, healing of persons who are sick. It can effect what we call the healing of a place of COVID-19. The interbeingness also connect with what we call the higher being, or on high, with God, with the Holy Spirit. And that interconnectedness is very important to effect, to channel the healing to those who are suffering in their inner being because of sicknesses, because of infection. Dr.
Just now, Dr. Steven was saying that the over even recesses would heal. They can run low, and then they will be very weak. Sometimes they are prone to sickness also. So they used to have another ceremony where they practically call the God to replenish or to re-strengthen or to recharge that particular healer or that particular bobolian. And this is also what they call it mamahui, but to bless and recharge the healing powers capacity of the healer itself. But if you don't have any more of this higher than you masters, sometimes nobody can conduct that anymore. So this is one more what they call lacking in our fast system, where we are losing our great masters one by one and nobody is taking up. And the other one is that there was also that experience of Dr. Steven, I think, especially when he's talking about that cautioning by Datu Tindarama Mansirom regarding the ego also, because we all know that within ourselves is that particular self-centeredness. But here in this case, the shift is to be divine-centered, God-centered versus ego-centered. And to me, that is what I also observed and I learned from this Tindarama Amansirom, because I also went with him in several rituals, including rain-making, and then blessing of our own Huguansio, the rituals. So that is one thing I think is very, very formidable there, to be divine, to be God-centered as against ego-centered.
Okay.
Jojo.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we just take a 5 minutes break, and maybe the students, fellows have some questions to ask?
Okay.
Is that possible?
Sure. Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a 5 minutes break. It's a lot of everything, and also it's a different world we are talking about here. A different way of being, different way of engaging, different way of thinking about nature, thinking about society. So I think it's completely it will completely we need to completely reorganize our way of thinking, even interacting or understanding. So let's take a few minutes, absorb this, this wisdom that has been shared with us, this experience that has been shared with us, and then we'll then you can come up with some questions. You can ask some things. How is it going to be related to your life or to the social things like that, so we can get a better understanding.
Yes, that would be good.
Okay. So take a 5 minutes. It's 5:35. We'll come back at 5:40, if you don't mind, please. Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Since everybody is back, let's do one thing now. I think we have so much of experience from Dr. Steven and Ben here. I think it would be nice if if you have some really deep questions. Been thinking about some of these questions about things we have been talking about during this GMF journey. You have some questions that you can ask him on what he shared and how they see the world, this whole idea of energies in the world, the way the world, nature is conceived, anything that you may have in mind. How is this energy going to help us? For instance, Aaron is here. Aaron may ask the question, how is this going to help in his work with the migrants? So, just try to see your connections in any way that you want or you want to explore. So let's have a little bit of a question answer kind of session so that we can learn more from, because it's a short session, we can learn more or hear more from Dr. Steven to share with us his wisdom as a shaman. So can someone start this questioning process? This question, queries, clarification, anything that you want.
Yes. A relatively easy one, I guess, compared to other questions. But I'm wondering about the Renate, the what we call that, the things that you
Renites. Recital. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you, because you see, I've encountered before that there are those who recite it but they don't necessarily know what it means, but it really is, it's handed down. So I'm wondering about that. Do you know like the exact meaning of the words, or are they like, very symbolic? How are they?
Okay. The Renites actually, sometimes these are recited over time and again and by hearted, and they are related to particular rituals. Their various Renites will be done depending on what rituals you are doing. But basically, it's like a form of prayer, but very beautifully arranged with synonyms and enriching meanings. Like if they talk about the rain, it will be mentioned several times, but in the synonymously. And if they talk about what they call the other spiritual beings, they have. It's just like mentioning the other synonyms of it. There's a repetition. Sometimes they repeat 7 times. And I will just say that it's like a prayer, but it's also related to very much down to earth, history of the people. And sometimes it can be just about the particular healing plants, how it rhymes with healing, and some of the plants rhymes with healing. Let's say, for instance, one of them is dalai. Dalai is a reed that grows near the riverside, and in Kadazan Dusunduan, papalay means to swerve away. So if you are talking about illness, then that particular blessing using this particular plant will swerve away, will protect the blessed from this one. And they have 7 combinations of blessing plants, and each of that will have a mantra. These are some of those things.
Would it be possible for you to share? Would it be correct for me to ask you to share one of these things in terms of your recitation? Is it right? Would that be possible? Even a short one to bless this group.
Okay. So let me connect it to our ancestral spirits. Also, I will connect this one to our spiritual energies in the what they call in the air, in the waters, in our ecological being. But this one is in Canada, huh? So in our own language, something will go like this one. Lahawan ko, gimbaran ngawi di kamalahingan, sunduan da kasarupan, sunduan da kawegan, sunduan da tanah, sunduan da rambituan, ang umalik dagay, manak dagay da kawarasan da pamusarahan, dahil pagibabarasan diti, may da kapanulong ikay da tulunsuay, makitulong dagay. So basically what I'm saying is that we call upon our ancestral spirits and the spiritual energies in the atmosphere, in the waters, in the earth, and in the stars to be with us and give us enlightenment and empowerment of healing within this group of ours, which is sharing to help other people. This basically like that.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else with any questions?
I have a question here. Just curious, can anyone be the healer after being trained, or only the selected one, like what Dato Steven mentioned just now, that nature healer? Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, maybe Dato Steven can answer that.
He's not here.
Okay.
He is not in the group. I don't know what happened.
Alamak. Okay, actually, it is like a bit of the biblical saying said, many are called, but few are chosen, because there are some interested ones, but they may not be really the right ones, because sometimes when there is a way to choose students of Bobolian, while they sleep, they will drop drops of water in their ear, and the first ones that will wake up immediately, that means the sensitive ones are the receptive ones. They have various tests actually, and actually there are those who may not wish to be, but that particular ancestral spirit, especially the grandmother spirit, keep on going to them and intervening in their life, giving them extraordinary enlightenment so that they can help other people. They are called to heal, even though they may not have done before, but when they are imbibed by the spirit of the the elders, the ancestors, or the spirit of the chief priestess, even though they are already dead, but we call it gimbaran. They cannot do anything, but they are just affected, or they are just be one with that particular helping spirit. So we have here a friend who is a Reverend Father. Father Jojo knows him very well. He was asked by the bishop to choose between whether he want to continue priesthood or he want to continue that spirituality, the Momolianism that he is practicing. I mean, that he cannot help but be involved with because of his grandmother's spiritual intervention in his life. So it's very, I can understand from his sharing, it's very difficult for me, even though if I want to choose to be a priest, I cannot have a power to prevent the helping intervention of my grandmother's spirit to help other people. So that was one of his sharing to me. I hope I have given some light into that one. Not everybody who would want to be will be chosen. Let's like the biblical say, many are called but few are chosen. But there are those who don't want to be, but because they are the choice of the spiritual masters spirit, then they just will have to find a way to accept it and become a healer themselves, because we have a young boy who used to go and witness a chief woman Babolian, but when her time came, when he has to be called to rest, somehow she noticed that this particular young boy is her perfect choice to hand over not only her paraphernalia but also her helping spirits. So when I asked this young boy, I said, "How did you manage to go?" He said, first of all, sometimes it was partially in a dream, but I was informed by the chief priestess that when she passed the paraphernalia to him, that he need not worry because he'll be there to help. And then whenever he starts his recitals, once he starts, then according to him, the rest of the memory the knowledge, enlightenment just flows into him, and he can immediately know who is the helping spirit, how to call them, and how to communicate. So this is a very wonderful passing over of this particular blessing of enlightenment from one chief to the young ones that she is choosing.
I have one question, which I hope would also help the fellows to think about. Okay, shamanism as a certain orientation, certain ways of looking at nature, and of course engaging with the energies in the world. How will a person who's working with things in the world, people are here working with human rights, working with migrants, working on peace, problems of young people. How will shamanism as a practice, as an orientation, as a way of being, how will that way of connecting with this world help us? I'm working with migrants, for instance. How will that help us socially? How does it help us in terms of healing this whole thing that has created the problem of migrants in the world? How do you think it can help us?
Normally, they would approach it from consulting the helping spirits, and there are so many of the helping spirits. There may be some favorites and some related to a particular problem. So I normally look at see that our masters, they go and consult, they go and communicate to these relevant spirits, and they get enlightenment from there. And then from there, they would do the action there. But sometimes it can be triggered off by particular request from a particular person who is going to ask for help in whatever they're doing. If it is regarding human rights, maybe then they can approach that particular shaman, and then they can do consultation. So they always have that consultation with the helping spirits, and they have quite a number, seven helping spirits are all, but one of the main ones, of course, is their Gimbaran, which is their ancestral spirits.
Yeah, but for instance, in Sabah forests are being destroyed, and there is a lot of activism going on as environmentalist or ecological activism. How is and the loss of forests in Sabah Sarawak is also endangering, as you said, the loss of ancestors with a certain kind of qualities that we are losing. We are losing it generally everywhere, but when you lose forests, you lose a lot of things, a lot of knowledge, practice, technologies, indigenous technology along. So how do you think that shamanism, since you have so much of connection with certain healing powers, not only at that personal level, but also at a at a much more collective level, or levels, other kinds of levels, how do you think shamanism can help us in our work, because all these people are working very closely with social realities. How
Okay.
will
One of the fundamental tenets, worldview of the mammalian here is that we are also our own self-ecological beings. We have an ecological aspect of our beings, which means we have to make people aware that we are the forest, we are the waters, we are the air, and we are the partially the basically mentioned about 7. We are the we are the trees and we are the animals. And when we want to impart into them that these are very much a part of us, then there is an element of at least respect and love radiated from ourselves to all this, to respect. But of course, it is blinded by, of course, the present economic system of materialism, and where money speaks more powerfully than anything else. But we should not stop in communicating our ecological being, because one of the things that are affecting us at the moment is that we are sick because our ecological being, our very much part of our being ecological are ill. The trees, if the trees are not feeling well, then are not they are being killed. We should be able to feel that being part of them, we are affected. So this is something maybe extraordinary from others from you, but this is what is contained in some of our recitals. Whenever we want to do something, whenever we want to plant stones, for instance, we call that we are not only human beings who are witnessing that particular pact, but it is the spiritual energies, our ecological companionship in the air, in the ecological aspect of our being are also witnessing us. So I relate this to one particular aspect. When we planted the stone of agreement to join Malaysia, many of our Malaysian leaders may feel that their leaders are the only one, witnessing from Malaya, maybe, and then the people around. But in the actual nice saying of the words, they are witnessed by the spiritual energies, by the ecological being, our very own ecological being, in the air itself, in the water itself, in the earth itself. That's why when we want to share food during a ritual, we also share food to the earth. We put some blood to the earth, and we also share, throw some rice into the air, and also to the plants and to all those part of our ecological being. So it means we are all connected. And I think in Father Jojo's presentation of some of his books also, he presently said that we are connected. And when we want to have that particular connectivity, hopefully we can evoke the feeling that when the world is sick, when the earth is sick, when the trees are sick, we are also part of that sickness, because there is a healing effect of being in the tree, in the jungle itself. The Japanese is already practicing that particular one, going to the jungle just to get healing. And there is one in America, Laura Caneva actually is talking about earthing being one of the center of healing.
Jojo?
Yeah, I just want to share with you the activism of a group of scholars. This one scholar that I know is Dr. Prasad Trakasupon, Thailand in Chiang Mai. He actually narrated, in his PhD dissertation, how the activism involves one shaman whom I met personally, and then another one is an activist. So they combine together so that the activism of the current communities against the mining company called Tinto from Australia can be surmounted. No? So the long and short of it is the activism involves actually first talking to the mining company, saying that this is our ancestral homeland. Although you secure the license to do testing and then eventually link into mining, we protest and we contest, your license. So the one activist that I met, he wrote countless letters to the local government protesting, and then he combined with the shaman. The shaman personally, narrated to me through Dr. Sunton, who interpreted. They did a 1-month ritual. So they grouped the households into clusters. So each clusters, they have their own shamans to do the ritual. So it's called a cluster ritual. They did the ritual for a month, while the letter campaigning continues. Then at the end of the 1 month, what happens is there are certain manifestations that things are not going right in terms of the testing of the soil. One, for instance, people are getting sick, and two, the engines won't start. So the tractors, won't start. And then number three is, some of them, because they are Korean themselves, they kind of read these sicknesses and the tractor won't start as connected with some kind of prayers, or connected with rituals. Rituals going up, rituals going up to Tati Tato means the creator, going up to the ancestors. 1 month later, this is reported, to all the activist leaders in the village that Tinto flew the satellite over that whole area where they are surveying for natural resources to be mined. In the satellite picture, there was no minerals, none whatsoever. So they folded up the company and left. This is a kind of activism where they believe that you must combine power with the shamans, and then you must combine rituals with activism. Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
Okay, I think, okay, thank you so much. Absolutely fascinating. I think this needs a whole, probably a day of many meetings that we can share this wisdom and see how shamanism and activism can connect to make things more deeper in our social engagement. I'm so sorry that Dr. Steven is not with us, but I think it's already 6 o'clock and we have to wind up. So I think I'm not sure whether even Nirmal is here.
Just very quickly to show you the publication of Dr. Ben Steven. Very quickly. So I mean, all these things are documented, So now is to have the actual school itself, to train the young shamans. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think probably we will have, if those who are interested, we can have this separately. And we have another initiative called the Asian Sacred Wisdom. It's another initiative, and we will be running a number of programs on shamanism in that initiative, where Father Jojo is very centrally involved.
Please do reach me anytime if there is anything that I can help.
Yes, I think we will, because that Asian Sacred Wisdom is, is an attempt to reach out to the indigenous cultures and wisdom for our, the global healing and well-being. Okay, so thank you so much, Ben. And I think please tell Dr. Steven, I don't know why he left. I hope
think he has a problem of connectivity in his place, and I think he was using his handphone though.
Oh, okay. I hope he's not upset.
No.
Okay, we don't want to have any trouble with any shaman now.
No. He's a very cool person.
Yeah. So I tell him that we are just friends.
Okay.
We will get his support, even though he's not with us all the time. Yeah,
one of the things I must share with you is that every now and then, when he gets a calling, if you just give your photograph, he can do a distant, energy healing, and he has done that to him time. And when he goes to hospital, there are two aspects of our healers. One is when you heal, sometimes they need a particular, gift back. That means in the form of coin, or sometimes it may be something to report them. But for Dr. Steven, he's been developed in a way. He's healing that he is not, to ask for anybody, to ask anything in return, because one of the teachings, of course, in Malianism is that the more you ask, the faster your power will be diminished from you. So in the past it is measured, and only a specific 50 cents, the hard coin, in order to maintain their their energy, spiritual energy. Okay.
Thank you. I think we usually have a few minutes of sharing before. So Jojo, Ben, I think you can go rest. Thank you for sharing your life, and please say thank you to Dr. Steven.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Zozo.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yes. Now, was Dr. Stevens sharing audible to you? Did you follow? I hope you have. In any case, this sharing was basically also an attempt for us to understand another way of engaging with the world, and a number of lessons that I think we, if you have were listening to them, whilst to some extent it may sound exotic, but there are things that you can actually learn as they shared. And I think one of the things that I really kept hearing is about our ecological sense, our ecological being, and also about healing. Because many of the work that you are doing is about healing. You are involved in social healing in many ways. Ray is involved, Marni is involved, Aaron is involved, Om is involved, Amalina. We are also involved in certain kinds of social, cultural, political healing processes. And I think for that we need to engage with different realities. So here is a person who came and shared with us about this, looking at the world very differently, completely differently. It looked like magical. It looks like you're seeing. What is that film? What was that film called? That famous film?
Last Shaman.
Harry Potter.
Huh? What is that film with all those crazy beings and all that? Very recent. Now they are doing the second part. Do you remember that film with the indigenous people, their world being destroyed?
The one by the Titanic director? No, just kidding.
No, Titanic. Is it a Titanic like somebody? What is
Avatar or the
Avatar? Avatar 2. Avatar. If you saw Avatar, you would actually make some sense of this kind of discussion that was shared by Dato. And I think there is a in Netflix. Go look for something called the Green Frontier. There's a series called Green Frontier. It's about a detective. It's a detective series, but it is contextualized in the Amazon, and so the context is very, very indigenous, and it shows this kind of different kinds of presence of energies, while they are doing a film series on detective story. If you can, if you have Netflix, look for a series called Green Frontiers. I think it's about 10 parts or something like that. It's and see if you can see 2, 3, then you get the idea of this. So our, it needs a little bit of time for you to make sense of these kinds of different ways of looking at realities, and even be strong enough to accept them as a certain way of engaging with the world. So if you think that the world is full of energies, full of spirits, how do you engage with it? So I think that is something that we have to learn from the indigenous people, and the way. And if you go and read some of these indigenous peoples and their lives, it's incredible. Right? For this person who talks with the clouds, there are New Zealand shamans, native healers who can talk with the dolphin. They can actually stand on the beach and call the dolphin to come. There are all kinds of things which sometimes we think, how is that possible? How is this people talking to things which which we have lost in the process? We may have lost. Our ecological being is really a crazy thing, and what we may have is just a small portion of it. We have lost the other things. So just absorb it, and we'll continue our journey and see how we can bring all these things together in some sort of understanding for our own work, eventually on conscience and compassion, which is what will be the path we will be taking. Okay, thank you so much. So tomorrow we have we'll have an interesting session on like today on Zen. So please be around. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.